Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 1051. Well, today we are going to talk about service. I love interviewing FFA students because nothing gets in the way of a great idea. I guess that's the best way I could put it. When they got a great idea, they just go for it. There's no any considerations about making a mortgage payment or anything like that they have to deal with. They just go for it, and they turn out unbelievably great projects. And today, with an emphasis on service, we are speaking to a young lady named Jayla Washington, coming to us from Low Country Leadership Charter School in Hollywood, South Carolina. She's growing produce. She is supplying good, healthy, and fresh vegetables and produce and fruit to a food desert in her local community. It's a really, really compelling story. I'm very eager to get you started listening to it or watching it, and we are going to do that right now. Jayla, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to speak with you, and I found you by seeing that you had received a grant from Bob Evans Restaurants. And I read that on a news clipping or something somewhere, and I was intrigued by your story, so I was eager to have you on the show. So it's really great to speak with you. I'm hoping we can start off by me just asking you a few questions about you to get to know you a little bit better. Would that be all right with you?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. So you are at home right now, I'm assuming, unless that's a really nice looking school.
Yes, I am. I'm at home. Virtual Fridays.
Virtual Fridays. Yep. I'm very familiar with Virtual Fridays. I've got a daughter who's a freshman in high school, and so I'm very familiar with that. And so home for you, is that in town? Is that on a farm? Is it something kind of in the middle of those two?
It's in the middle, I would say, because my grandfather's farm is right across the street.
Is that right?
But I live in a more rural area.
Okay.
You would say I live out of town, so
Out of town. Okay.
I'm not in the middle of all the stores or anything.
Okay. What kind of farming does Grandpa do?
He does okra farming, squash, stuff like that.
Did you say okra?
Yes, we love okra.
I love okra.
We love okra.
I live in
We actually had some last night.
My goodness. I live in Idaho, and I try and grow okra every single year, and it makes me wish I was living in South Carolina so I could grow okra like you all can. I love okra.
Have you ever had it with crab? That's how we had it last night.
No, man, that sounds good.
It's so good. When
you have okra with crab, are you breading it and deep frying it, or are you eating it differently?
No, you steam it. You steam it. You steam the okra, and then you also just put the crab meat in there.
Okay.
And then season it up over some rice.
Oh, man, that sounds really, really good. Okay, I'm heading your way. I'm getting in the truck right now. That sounds excellent. I always like it breaded and deep fried. That's how I cook it, and that's how I've always had it cooked. But honestly, if you live out in the West where I live, okra's got this reputation, which is people say, oh, it's slimy and this type of stuff. And so
not if you cook it the right way.
Okay. And I'm wondering about that. Now, I have gotten over that. This whole texture issue with okra, I'm well past that, and I love eating okra. But that's what you always hear if you're out west. If you deep fry it, you get away from that. But the way you cook it by steaming it, that obviously goes away as well?
Yes.
Okay.
It goes away.
Oh, my goodness. Now, so you're in Hollywood, South Carolina? Do I have that right? Or that's where your school is anyway?
Yeah, that's where my school is. Well, we just relocated to Megget, South Carolina.
Okay.
But I technically live in Youngs Island, Hollywood. Okay. I'm like on the border of both.
Okay. So I didn't look it up on the map ahead of time. Is that close to the coast?
Yes, it's very close to the coast. Eddystone Island is like 10 minutes away from me.
Oh, my goodness. Does that mean that the crab you had with your okra was fresh caught?
Yes, it was fresh caught.
All right.
We actually got it from the man down the street.
Oh, my goodness. I haven't had lunch yet. I can't even have this conversation because that sounds so good. My goodness. All right. I am heading your way. I'm getting on a plane. The heck with the pickup. I'm getting on a plane. Okay. Well, that is awesome. And so your grandfather's farm, then he's growing okra, other stuff like that. Does that all get sold? Like, is it a big commercial production farm where he's growing okra, or is it smaller?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's smaller. It's smaller. But my grandfather's always been into community service. That's actually how I got into it.
Okay.
And he gives his produce to people in the community. He does it for
Oh,
fun,
okay.
basically,
Very
because it's
interesting.
always been a way of life for him.
Okay. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, we're gonna come back around to that when we get to your supervised
All right.
agricultural experience. Really, really interesting. Okay, so now I want to talk to you about your school as well before we talk to you about your FFA time. So you attend Low Country Leadership Charter School.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
We're a small, close-knit school.
Okay.
We're in Hollywood. I don't know. Everybody knows everybody. That's all I can say.
Okay.
And it's fun. And ag's a big program at our school.
Okay. All right. Now, the title of your charter school is very interesting to me. Low Country, I would assume, is something regional, but then Leadership Charter School. So there must be an emphasis on teaching leadership and leadership skills there.
There definitely is. Yes, there is.
Okay.
And we do a lot of project-based stuff. So.
Okay. And so how did you wind up going to this particular school?
Well, we opened up about 7 years ago. I was going into the 4th grade, and my cousin actually was going to take the test. And
Okay.
we didn't even know about it until the day of. And my aunt was like, you should come too, and we can go take the test. It used to be this old school called Old Country Day, but then they converted it into Low Country Leadership Charter School
Okay.
with new leadership and stuff like that.
Okay. Interesting.
So it was a great opportunity.
Okay. And so usually when a student's going to a charter school, that means they had an option of going to a different school, maybe like the more traditional high school or something like that. Was that the case for you?
So, yeah, that is the case for me. There's a lot of high schools down here.
Uh-huh.
But my mom's always wanted me in the best schools. So,
Okay.
and it's a public charter school, but it's still a great school.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I was assuming it was something like that. So mom had researched it. She had looked into it and determined that you were going to get a great education going to this particular program.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so the FFA is obviously a big part of it, as you were saying. Now, were you familiar with the FFA before starting there?
No, I actually wasn't. I didn't know anything about FFA until my 9th grade year. Well, my 8th grade year going into high school.
Okay. And was that like when you were rounding out your 8th grade year, somebody from the charter school FFA chapter came and spoke with you or something like that? How did you learn about it?
Yeah, that's actually what happened, because that's actually the first year they became part of FFA, because it used to just be a club.
Okay.
And they were coming around to all the middle school classrooms because, we're about to step up. We're about to come to 9th grade. So they want more members, and that's how it started.
Okay. So what was it? I'm assuming you heard from multiple groups other than the FFA as well during that time. So what was it about the FFA that appealed to you? Why did you join?
I don't know. I've always been on planting and farming, so in animals. So it was just the right choice for me.
The right choice because you've just always been interested in those aspects of agriculture?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And now you are finishing up your junior year right now. Is that correct?
That is correct. I'm going to be senior next year. Can't wait.
You're going to be in charge of the school next year. That's really exciting. So you're wrapping up your 3rd year of FFA, and you're serving as, the title I've got written down here is Executive Vice President. Do I have that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so obviously things have been going well for you in your FFA chapter. Tell me about your officer position. Obviously, I'm familiar with the position of Vice President. This is the very first time in hundreds of interviews I've done where I've seen the position of Executive Vice President.
Okay, so it's Executive Vice President because we have 2 other vice presidents, but I'm directly under the president. And I oversee, we have a vice president of SAEs. She reports to me, and we also have a vice president of programs, like what we're doing all throughout the year. So everybody reports to me, and I do it directly to the president.
Wow, they are teaching leadership there and
yes.
structures of businesses, obviously. That's really interesting. Now, is this something that you applied for and had to run for and be elected? Were you appointed? How did you get into this position?
So, over the summer. Since COVID, we couldn't have in-person interviews, but we always do interviews for FFA officer positions. And multiple people we pick positions that we would like. I picked secretary. I was a reporter my sophomore year, so I picked reporter, and then I picked vice president.
Okay.
And she made this role for me. So
you're kidding me.
That was fun.
So
yes, that was fun.
Executive vice president was designed specifically for Jayla.
Yes, it was.
Well, there's no pressure there to get it right then, is there? That's really cool. So when it was designed for you, obviously, so this is the third year of your chapters even being in existence. They designed this position, told you what your role would be, and then was it kind of up to you to turn it into what it is now and what it will be going forward?
Kind of, but there's always the set what you need to do. This is what you're going to have to do.
Okay.
These are the limits you can go. There's still basis of what I have to do.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, that's good though, to know where you stand and know what you need to do. It kind of makes the world a little bit easier, I think, when you've got some parameters to follow within. Well, that is great. It sounds like you've got some very innovative leaders there in your FFA chapter. How many advisors do you have?
I only have one.
Okay. We'd love to acknowledge your advisor. Who is that?
Katie Bell. Okay. She actually went to Clemson University.
Clemson, the Tigers. Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for acknowledging her. All right. Well, Jayla, let's talk about this supervised agricultural experience. What have you been doing and how are you following, I guess, in Grandpa's footsteps when it comes to this?
Okay. So my SAE is Produce for All. I produce organic produce for soup kitchens and those in my low-income area because downtown Charleston is actually a food desert. So I give my produce to the soup kitchens, Stone Soup Collection. And over the last 2 years, I came up with this idea because of my grandfather. He's always gone to the food bank and gotten food for everybody, and he takes it. It's just a piece of joy for him. Okay. So community service has always been in my heart, with going to the church and other stuff like that down here. And it's a close-knit community, so it's good to see those people. And I just want to follow in his footsteps because he's a great man. And my father also.
Yeah, what a great inspiration to have right there in your family. That's really, really neat. So did this come about because you decided you wanted to do the same thing as Grandpa, or was it, I'm in the FFA, they're requiring us an SAE, what can I do? Oh, I can do what Grandpa's been doing.
It was more so I see a need, so I want to fill it.
Okay. That's really great. Good for you. So tell me how you got started. What did you grow that very first year?
Okay, so the very first year, I actually did not grow anything. I networked. Oh. So I asked the Stone Soup Collection, just different farms, different soup kitchens. And I also, my advisor, we didn't have any spare money in my family, so we had to find out a way for me to develop this plan. So that's when I applied for my first grant. Okay. Which was from CCOF.
California Certified Organic Farming. Would that be it?
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Interesting. So you received a grant that year, and then what were you able to? Was it $1,000 SAE grant? Was that what it was?
Yes, it was the $1,000 SAE grant.
Okay. And what were you able to use that money to do?
With that, I bought wood for 6 raised garden beds. I got all the tools I needed. I got soil. I got mushroom compost. I started a little bit of composting, and it's just been up and hill from there.
Is that right? Good for you. So now that progressed into a growing season, I'm assuming, and then a harvest. And then, so what happened that next year once you were able to harvest some of your own produce?
My biggest produce that I got was tomatoes, actually. Okay. And that's big down here. So I just gave away. I even made bags for my volleyball coaches because I had so much left over. And I also have grapevines, so I gave them some grapes and stuff like that. But the first year I grew squash, cucumbers, watermelon, radishes, tomatoes, and lettuce.
Okay. Wow. Man, it sounds like a little bit of paradise down there, Jayla. Between the okra, all this produce and fruit, and the crab. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you did that first year, and then you applied for a grant again, and then you were awarded another $1,000 this time from Bob Evans. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. And
okay.
What's so funny? I didn't even realize I could win it again, if that makes sense. I was like, I'm just applying, and I was just so happy because it was like, this really happened. And it's like, I'm so thankful to them for giving me this opportunity.
That is great. And so what will that second round of funding go to?
Okay, so I've actually already bought a few things. I've bought an indoor hydroponic system. It's not up yet. And then I also have I bought 2 new garden boxes, and I also bought a raised garden bed.
Wow. Okay. So you are upping your production capability.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as you've been doing this and people have been noticing what you're doing through FFA, through your own initiative to help out the community and to help out people who need that food, have other people in the community jumped on board with you?
I would definitely say that people in my community have started growing, especially since the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still small. So, like, the people that do know me, they help, but I'm still trying to get out there.
Okay, so you're still building that name and that reputation, but I mean, goodness, I know where this is going. This is significant, and people are obviously taking notice. I mean, I'm talking to you all the way from Idaho, wanting to know more about this because you're doing some incredible stuff.
You should have seen my advisor when she told me when you reached out. She was like, "Oh my god," because we're just.
That's awesome.
I was actually going to floriculture.
Well, you deserve it. You deserve the recognition, and I know that's not why you're doing it, but I mean, when people do stuff like what you're doing, it just attracts attention. It's a great and compelling story, and everybody knows we should be doing more of what you're doing. So, we like to share that. That is great. Okay, so you're upping production capability, and what made you decide that you want to get involved in the aquaculture part of it?
Okay, so do you know what actually drew me to FFA except the horticulture program actually, except for them coming in the classroom, is that my advisor had a flower tower in her room, a hydroponic system tower, and she had basil and mint growing.
Okay.
And every morning I would go in there just to smell the room because it would calm me down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I said aquaculture, but it's actually hydroponics. My mistake. So will you be growing herbs and things like that as well then?
Yes, I'll be growing herbs, and I'll be putting lettuce because lettuce grows well in hydroponics.
Very cool. Man, that is great. I'm excited for you. Okay. So tell me about this food desert. When it's a term that I've heard several times. I think I've got an idea of what it means, but when you talk about this food desert in your community, what are you referring to?
I'm referring to low-income areas that have less than one grocery store in walking distance.
Okay. And so you, with your donations, you're providing good, healthy, fresh produce for people in these areas that don't necessarily have access to that type of food. Am I understanding that correct?
Yes. And actually, I didn't even know about food deserts in my community until this summer when I started working with the Green Heart program.
Okay.
They're a nonprofit, and they actually work with the low-income area, and they do a CSA every Thursday night.
Oh, okay. Very good. How did you get involved with that nonprofit? What drew you to them?
My advisor.
Okay.
She gives me opportunity after opportunity.
That is great. Well, she's obviously recognized something in you, and she knows, you've got a heart for service clearly, and she's pointing you in those directions when she sees them, it sounds like.
Yep.
That's great. So here you are. You are wrapping up your junior year of high school. So then what is this project going to look like next year? And then what will it look like after high school?
Okay, so next year I'm hoping that I'm doing the same thing that I've been doing this year, hoping to do some more networking. And actually, after, I would like to make it a placement SAE for someone in my FFA chapter because I'm going to need someone to actually take care of the farm while I'm not here.
That is wonderful. So that is so profound. I love what you just said because you are going to build an SAE for a student coming behind you so you can carry forward this public service project because you're not going to be there. So that begs the question, Jayla, where are you going to be?
Oh, I would like to go to Alabama A&M for horticulture.
Awesome. Okay. Alabama A&M for horticulture. And what do you want to do with a horticulture degree once you finish up?
I would actually like to be a horticulture therapist.
Okay. Now I'm learning new things today. What in the world is a horticultural therapist?
Okay. So as a horticulture therapist, you can work in a prison, a nursing home, a rehabilitation center, and everything like that. And actually, you provide a safe place for those through planting produce.
Really? How did you learn about this? This is new to me.
I didn't even know it was a thing until we went on a field trip with my advisor to one of the community gardens down here. And the overseer of the garden, that's what she did for the previous 15 years of her life. She was actually a horticulture therapist in a prison.
How interesting. Man, good for you. Now, Alabama, that's a few states away. So how did you choose that school? Is it because they have this particular degree, or how did you choose that school?
Well, I'm actually in a program called Thrive, and it's an HBCU-based program. And one of our student interns, she's a senior at Alabama A&M, and it intrigued me because they have a great horticulture program, and that's what I want to do. And the community's well-rounded. That
is fantastic. Well, Jayla, I would love to wrap this up with a final question that other students could use. Students are coming after you, which, by the way, the fact that you're creating a placement SAE for students coming behind you, I think is incredible. And so this is a great question for you, I think. And that is, when a student comes into the FFA, there's so many different areas they can focus on. They can focus on research, they can focus on entrepreneurship, on farming, and of course, service. You clearly chose service. If a student's coming in and they're trying to figure out where their focus should be, and they wanted to know your opinion of why should I consider making my focus service and serving others, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that service is a choice, and that by choosing it, you're making the world better for others. And you would want somebody to do that for you. So that's what you do.
Very good. Jayla, I have really enjoyed getting to know you and speak with you. My mouth is watering. I'm ready to go get lunch, but it's been a pleasure, and I am really excited to see where this all goes for you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here, everybody, and thank you to Jayla Washington for all she is doing. Everybody, we'd love to have you as subscribers here on our YouTube channel. Please click that subscribe button below and sign up for all of our videos. And we'd love to have you as a follower on social media as well. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn, everybody. And hey, until next time, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.